morning, and welcome to the 8th grade graduation ceremony. I want to take a few seconds here to welcome all of our parents, our guardians, our grandparents, our siblings, our friends, our extended families, our faculty, our staff, and lastly, and most importantly, our students. As we begin this ceremony, I'm going to take the 8th graders back to their first assembly of the school year. I had dismissed the 6th and 7th graders and took some time to recognize our 8th graders and remind them of their place as the eldest students in our community. I wanted to make sure they understood the responsibility that comes with that. I talked about the school's expectations around leadership, how demonstrating kindness, empathy, and responsibility in our community was essential to their 8th grade experience. So I'm going to take a few seconds to remind them that no matter where you are in life, these are the values that we ask you to carry with you. Who could have guessed in August of last year that we'd have to finish our 8th grade year in a remote learning situation? This is a very tough time. You have all demonstrated a great deal of resiliency, and that is something else that I'm going to ask you to carry with you. You are here right now, you're in this moment, and we are celebrating you. This is happening. You're making the best of tough times. We understand that, we appreciate that, and we are going to miss you. Before I leave, I'm also going to ask you to take time and recognize the people that have made this moment possible. Because behind you, there's been a great deal of energy, of care, love, and intentionality from your village of support. This not only includes your family at home, but your family here at school. Lastly, know that you'll be missed. We wish you the best of luck next year. We hope to have you back when time permits. And finally, congratulations to all of you.
Hello, class of 2024. Wow, that year used to sound a lifetime away, and now it's just around the corner. I am honored to speak to you here today, even if it's in a way that seems different than any of us would have predicted it would be. But the message I want to deliver still stands strong. At the beginning of the school year, we read Warriors Don't Cry, a memoir by Melba Beals that chronicles her experience as one of the Little Rock Nine, as they were the first students to integrate their local high school. Progress has been made since 1957, but Miss Beals' mission can still be seen in the goals of society today. As Melba said, "Until I am welcomed everywhere as an equal simply because I am human, I remain a warrior on a battlefield that I must not leave. I continue to be a warrior who does not cry, but who instead takes action. If one person is denied equality, we are all denied equality." The reason this quote has stood the test of time is because equality can be translated into so many different things. As middle schoolers, we have been on a journey to figure out what equality meant to each of us. And through these past 3 years, we became prepared to be warriors for a battle we get to choose. As students and members of this world as a whole, we want to create a society that we are proud of. But I will tell you, that was a pretty daunting task to take on as an 11-year-old 6th grader. The first day of middle school, I didn't even understand how to open my locker, let alone what I wanted to change in the world. And surprisingly, even though we thought middle school was all about that very overwhelming class schedule and learning algebra, it was so much more than that. In 7th grade, we are given the space and encouragement from teachers to start finding our passions and our voices. We are able to gain the courage to truly discover the endless possibilities of middle school. We summoned the will to join a new club or do a sport, some of us acted in plays, and we finally mastered opening the lockers. And all of us felt more confident. And many of us began to realize that the world extended beyond Kenwood Mall to more important issues that would affect our lives and would shape our own battles. And during this last part of middle school, we have had the freedom to be able to start independently focusing on things that were truly important to us and that we truly love. Whether it's finally becoming president of that club you tiptoed into in 6th grade, or getting the lead in the fall play, this 8th grade year, we all had time to take the spotlight. And this year, I hope many of you realize that we did not have to be bystanders in our school or the world around us, but rather we had a personal responsibility to make change. And now, We are standing on the horizon of high school and all the next opportunities and challenges. Certainly, middle school has not ended in the way that any of us expected it would, but warriors don't cry. So we will march forward together and take action and discover what we each care about. And one thing Lab has made clear is we don't have to and can't do it alone. We have the support of teachers, faculty, friends, and family, and we stand on the shoulders of heroes like Melba Beals. Melba's story may have just been a book we had to read at the beginning of the year in order to take a test on it, but it ended up being so much more than that. It was a call to action for many future classes like ours, and the easy and difficult lessons that not only this book shows, but many years of history display, that we each can carry for years to come. And as middle school ends, it has become apparent that as a class we are given the time to learn how this ocean of change works, and then the opportunity to explore the endless scope of possibilities. This year, many of us decided to truly dive deeper into the passions that compelled us the most. And as we move on to high school, like Melba Beals, we must create our own wave of change. Because as many of us have discovered in middle school, it is sometimes not enough to simply relate to a problem. We at times have the responsibility to step up and be the solution. Thank you, class of 2024, for an amazing year.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sophie Kolb, and I am the Student Council President. Given the circumstances, I can't talk to you in person, but this is the next best thing. The current state of the world is saddening in many significant ways, and I'm sure each and every one of you have been affected by something, whether it be the coronavirus, protests in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, or even worries that the hate in the world will affect your friends and family who are a part of the LGBTQ+ community as we move into Pride Month. Myself and other members of the Lab community wish to provide a source of comfort and love during these unknown times. Personally, I feel comfortable speaking for my classmates when I say graduation is one of the many things we look forward to at the start of the year. We are all deeply saddened that we are missing the experience of some wonderful things, such as the DC trip, social events, dances, and more. This is definitely not what any of us imagined our final middle school year would end like. I remember how the year started off well. We were all excited for what was to come in our last year of middle school, new opportunities to join different clubs and do things that interested us. The student council threw some successful social events, and I'm especially disappointed that we didn't get to experience our end of the year dance. As 2020 started, our plans for the rest of the year seemed far out of reach. On March 13th, our final day of school, we were all thrilled at the idea that we got to start spring break early and have the next few weeks off school. We said goodbye to our friends and teachers, however, we knew this goodbye would be temporary. The weeks continued on, and the number of coronavirus cases only got worse. I began to see this goodbye was not so temporary. Some students, including myself, realized that March 13th was our last day at Lab. This was a place where some have spent a lifetime, all of us have grown, and a place where we've built bonds as close as family. As many of us slowly started realizing that we wouldn't be coming back to school, we felt sad, angry, alone, and a bundle of other emotions I can't begin to describe. I felt guilty. Knowing that there were incredible people risking their lives to keep others safe, it made me wish I could do more. I shouldn't have felt guilty, though. I realize now where my guilt came from. Every day I would wish we'd go back to school and wish for things to return the way they used to be. I spent my time worrying about whether or not I could see my friends again and go to classes. But brave people continue to leave their houses every day and put their lives at risk so I can worry about school instead of worrying about my loved one's health. I think there's a moment in every graduation speech where the speaker reminds everyone that we should be excited and that we're beginning a new chapter in our lives. While we are moving into a new chapter and we should be filled with hope and happiness, I also want to remind you that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared for right now. We're all scared and we're all allowed to feel this way. I also want to remind you that we share these emotions. We face the harsh realities of the world today, but we face them together. Lab is a family, and we are all in this together. I leave you today to reflect the happiness in our lives. Although we're facing unknown aspects of life that some of us never even worried about before, graduation is a time to move forward. As we move forward, let's treat people with kindness. Let's bring each other up and not down. We might be at the bottom, but there's only one way to go from here, and that's up. Whether you're staying here for high school or going someplace new, I wish the best of luck to you all. Thank you, and happy graduation.
Greetings, 8th grade graduates, and congratulations. Even though we can't be together physically for this celebration, I can see many of your faces virtually, that is, virtually in my mind's eye. Happy, expectant, maybe a little anxious for what is going on in our country and the world right now. Greetings, parents. Congratulations to you as well for raising your child to this milestone in their lives so far. Even if you have younger children, you will never pass this way again. Greetings, grandparents, and I'm sure we have some great-grandparents watching. Greetings to you as well. Congratulations to you for the steadfast care and love you have given your families through the years. Greetings to my colleagues on our faculty and staff and to our administrative team, especially our principal, Miss Sandy Bixby, who is joining me in retirement. Finally, greetings to our new old Director of Schools, Mr. David McGill, whom I fondly remember presiding over my own son's 8th grade graduation in Mandel Hall some 14 years ago. I've been teaching for 36 years, 30 of these at Lab, from 1990 to 2020. As I reflect on my career, I sometimes wonder how I might be feeling if I had started, say, in 1960 and were retiring in 1990 instead of starting in 1990. Or what if I were starting in 1930 and retiring in 1960? Well, that'll have to be a discussion for another time, but suffice it to say, I have seen many changes in the laboratory schools and in our larger society during this time. For example, when I started at Lab, I taught 4 sections of what was then 8th grade English. I taught all of our 8th graders in those days. Well, we had since doubled in size from 4 sections to 8 sections. We have departments now also that didn't even exist then, and a few others that have disappeared. I remember we used to have an AV or audiovisual department with one staff member who maintained it. He was our go-to guy for anything you wanted in the classroom beyond a chalkboard and an overhead projector, and I don't mean the digital kind. His name was Gene Runyon. The AV department included items like film strip projectors, tape recorders, both reel-to-reel and those newfangled cassette players, TV and VCR carts, and 16-millimeter projectors, the preferred movie showing platform since you could have a nice big screen. We were just beginning to build a computer lab for the middle school at that time. There were no desktops in the classrooms, let alone laptops. I remember when I first was issued a university email address. As I recall, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it, and I don't think I did much with it for years. Still more change. The classroom I began my lab school career in no longer exists, being part of that part of Belfield Hall, whose location was used to build Gordon Parks Arts Hall. The classroom I ended my career in, at least until this last March, is in the middle school building, a building like Gordon Parks that did not exist when I started at Lab. During the long middle of my time at Lab, I taught in one of 2 rooms in the Belfield East Tower. Maybe not an ivory tower, but a limestone one, including windows on 2 sides stylized as medieval or maybe Gothic firing slits, presumably to shoot your arrows from. Before the middle school building was erected, the only way to get to the top of that tower is by one staircase to the 3rd floor, where only 3 classrooms existed, and only 2 were used at any one time. My colleague and I had a quiet, isolated space in which to teach, and by nature of that physical space created a solid partnership between us. It's like we had our own separate school. No computers, no phones, let alone cell phones. It seems like I'm talking about 100 years ago rather than 30. I remember that if a boy had to go to the bathroom, he had to walk to the 1st floor of Belfield. The girls' bathroom was then right there. And then he had to walk to the other end of Belfield near Kimbark Avenue. A male gender 6th grader leaving the classroom could be easily gone for 15 minutes or more. I'm not waxing nostalgic. Some things I liked better. Some things were definitely worse. But I want to underscore the idea of change, and change we can't necessarily anticipate. But before I go on about this, I just want to emphasize that what has not changed has been the enthusiasm of our students and their willing engagement with the business of our classes. This has made my teaching at Lab so rewarding. The longer I've been here, the more experience I've gained, the more I've come to appreciate my students and my classes with them. I had come to lab as a teacher with high school experience and had intended to work my way into U High. Instead, I ended up in 6th grade, initially because I liked the subject of ancient history, and I also liked the longer class period. This was the only class at that time that had a 90-minute period. As it turned out, I felt I had found my niche teaching 11 and 12-year-olds. This is the age group I've spent most of my career with, and it has truly been my privilege and my joy. So graduates, why am I giving you all these details? I will tell you. I could not have anticipated my career path, even after I had started teaching. Sometimes you hear in graduation speeches about, following your passion or never settling for other than what you really want. Usually they mean, a vocation you really want. Well, you're a little young still for that sort of speech. You're, after all, heading to high school, not the job market or graduate school. But one can still hear echoes of these lofty aspirations communicated to 8th graders and high schoolers at times. And you just don't really know what you will encounter, where you will go, or how your circumstances or the larger world will change. Look around you at your classmates, virtually, of course, in your mind's eye. Think of those math mavens, or accomplished musicians, or creative and gifted visual artists, and so on among you. The lab school has many talented students, as you probably better know well than anyone else. Over the years, I've taught students who went on to become Oscar-winning directors, published authors in various fields, university professors, a recently elected district attorney in San Francisco who promises great reform, and so many more. Maybe some of these people had a passion they pursued, and that's great, but maybe not. We often find ourselves in circumstances where we just have to apply ourselves to them as best we can. I think there's something to be said for those of us who plod along but keep working at improvement in whatever business is before us. I've periodically had a flash of inspiration in teaching, but I'll be quite frank with you, it's been rare. Mostly, I just keep trying to improve. How can I teach this better? Should I include this material in my curriculum? How can I make this more engaging for my students? Sometimes a new idea works, and sometimes it totally fails. About 5 years ago, I watched a documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi about a renowned sushi chef in Tokyo, Jiro Ono. Maybe you've seen it too. He's made it his life's work to keep making his sushi creations better. It's not just choosing the right fish in the market or making a good presentation. It's about the rice he uses, and the rice vinegar, and the water he boils the rice in, and how high above a flame is the seaweed held, and for how long, and on the refinement of little details goes. He was 85 years old when that film was made, and his restaurant at that time had earned 3 Michelin stars, the highest honor any restaurant can get. He's 94 now, and he's still at it. In Japanese, he's called a shukunin, or craftsman. There's no precise word in English that is the equivalent, but it's one who keeps working to perfect his or her craft. The implication of this is that the shukonin does not just do this for himself, but with a social conscience that is improving him or herself for the general benefit of the whole society. One feels a moral obligation to do the best one can at whatever constructive endeavor is set before them for the betterment of all. My colleague and team member, Janice Moy, and I have discussed this idea before, and we see ourselves just humbly as shukonin, always working at the incremental improvement of our craft and doing this as a moral imperative. May I suggest you could approach your life as a student this way? Including your schoolwork and any co-curricular activities you may engage in, arts, sports, and so on. This is not everything in your lives, but it's an important part of it right now and will remain so for quite some time. You don't have to have a passion for every subject or any subject. You may or may not be skilled or talented in any given subject or area of study. Heaven forbid, you may not even like the teacher you have in a particular subject. There is satisfaction in working incrementally at improvement, whether you have a little proficiency or are a master. There is satisfaction in seeing your hard work pay off and seeing an improvement in skills, however humble they may seem. But wait, there's more. What I am suggesting to you does not have to be some humorless process in which one takes a kind of grim satisfaction at step-by-step improvement. I read a book on habit last fall. In fact, the book was first published in October, 2019, last October. It's by a Wendy Wood, W-O-O-D, in case you want to look her up later. She's often been referred to as the world's leading expert on the psychology of habit, and she spent her career researching it. She is in fact a professor of psychology and business at the University of Southern California. She suggests more of our daily lives than we realize are governed by habit. And there's quite a bit of her book that can inform us on the subject and our ability to put intention to this. But let me give you a quote by Dr. Wood that struck a chord with me and that I think is appropriate to our present subject. We repeatedly do the things we love doing, but we also grow to love the things we repeatedly do. Listen to this again. We repeatedly do the things we love doing, but we also grow to love the things we repeatedly do. You can learn not just to take satisfaction in improving your competence, but eventually to take even joy in it sometimes as well. I know some of you already have experienced this, maybe in learning a part for a play and performing it when you thought you weren't able to do this, or finally mastering that first Mozart piano concerto. Or maybe in something more mundane, but we can all receive both satisfaction and enjoyment from the responsibilities before us that we are obligated to do every day. You don't have to have a particular passion or a grand plan. Just apply yourself diligently to the business you have set before you. It may become far more rewarding than you realize. Thank you. And whether you're continuing on at U High in the fall or at another high school, I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors.
Welcome, families, faculty, staff, and students. Thank you for joining us in celebration of the University of Chicago 8th grade graduates. Each year at this time and in this speech, I have sought to find an image that represents the class and marks this occasion. I struggled to find such an image this year. Nothing seems to fit. 2 weeks ago, in the midst of a week of torrential downpours, a flooded basement seemed an appropriate metaphor for what you face this spring. Unpredictable, frustrating, with insidious and persistent seepage. Then I watched a neighbor learn how to skateboard and thought that was it. Hitting the curb, frequently falling off, dodging cars. Describing a long bicycle ride was another idea. New street scenes, fresh air, the sound of birds, all with social distancing. Each montage had a positive start, but then felt like a forced comparison. There are no direct parallels. This has been a unique experience. You have gone through a spring like no other and made it through. You have endured, struggled, and thrived. You have been connected, creative, and collaborative. You have discovered new avenues to demonstrate your understanding of facts and ideas. You have also taught friends and teachers new ways to present class content and engage each other in the remote learning experience. This example, set by the leadership of the 8th grade class, will stand alone as a singular triumph of persistence and resilience. You have gone beyond ordinary comparisons and stories. You have gained the skills and prepared the way for a new story next fall. What has been accomplished this spring will carry through and be the foundation on the vehicle and the road forward as you enter high school. All of us here today congratulate you on your successful journey through 8th grade at the laboratory schools. And now, I present to you the 8th grade graduating class of 2020.
Layla A.J. Batiste, Abe Bueno de Mesquita, Emma Isabel Chesla, Sophia Koss, Elizabeth Claire La Riviere, Mason John List, Bryce Lynch, Adele Elizabeth Pope, Wilhelmina R. Rayburn, Raven Renee Reed, Matthew Lyon Riggle, Eli Ruben Strahilevitz,
Alula Alem Seged, Miranda Jane D. Teresa, Kira Morgan Farmer, Charles Hanger, Eleanor Ruth Kaufman Seitz, Eric Sebastian Lindquist, Leon Junyoung Liu, Evan Tyler Locke, Zeta Siegler Mrzek, Sophia Melania Niedishkowski, Anvi Padi, Kinsey Jade Smith, Sienna Alonso Yamini,
Quinn Andrews Myers, Zara Grace Campbell, Marcella Elizabeth Carter, Carter David Chang, Alexei Danilovich Edwards, Asher Grossman, Aiden Mattiello, Mahin Clifford Reddy Schneider, Kavya Rathna Shriram, Zara Sadiq, Haley Laura Sturgill, Adam Joseph Severson, Sahana Shalini Uni, Lena Sophia Valenti,
Sasha Duda, William Joseph Ginsberg, Michaela Marie Hatcher, Jordan Raquel Hudson, Brandon Alexander Jones, Areen Rizwan Khan, Austin Jaso Kim, Sophie Spencer Kolb, Sanjana Kumar, Maria A. Razborova, Sohail Rohan Sajde, Dylan Sparrow, Yassine Sufi,
Skylar Benjamin Albert, Poppy Elizabeth Beiser, Lucas Daniel Caldanti, Celine Hildegard Evelyn DeRoit, Hannah Miriam Dinner, Jacob Luca Gazes, Olivia Gabrielle Jin, Jessica Joan Greenstone, Jacob Benjamin Tay Liu, Dante Virus, Bella Walter, Ilani Wang,
Connor Gustav Booth,
Emily Winifred Brennan, Kieran M. Collins, Chloe Olivia Hurst, Ella Spencer Kolb, Rowan J. McCarty Seamus, Siddharth B. Misra, Patrick Robert Pilot, Sanjeev S. Reddy, Ratheen Neil Shaw, Jonah Arthur Vong, Eileen Wicksteed, William J. Chang, Yuan Zhuang,
Smaya Mahala Anand, Dorothea Esther Babai, Ethan Richard Clark, Marguerite Booth Coleman, Alice Fan, Emmett Xander Goolsby, Sarah Isabel Grimshaw, Marlena Louisa Leutz, Maximilian James Economy Matthias, Alessandro Hamdi Radwin, Santana Olivia Romero, Sophia Shahul, Hannah Lee Shubin, Tomasz Witkowski,
Adam Assad Chima, Miles Grunson Cobb, Nathan Harris Coe, Ella Carmen Cohen Ritchie, Cassia Chikimi Collins, Connor Lewis Elegant, Robert Eric Rose, Lillian Noel Hunley, Jack Davis Hurst, Francis Morgan Lewis, Jolitzen Martinez, Alexander Hartley Rupel, Stella Jeanette Sturgill,
Emmanuel Ball, Elena Bloom, Mark Andrew Boland, Natalie Gabriela Dama Salas, Ellis Arthur Dominic, Alma Frances, Maurice H. Neumann, Audrey, Kim, Shinji, Park. Samuel Martin Pastor. David Wren. Maud Kate Rossi. Michael R. Sawaked. Sophia Rose Stern. Alexandra Ruth Watson.
Erica Budesilich. Clara Tsui. Audrey Dobiash. Cyrus Song Esmailzadeh. Alex Fogel. Bella Garrido. Haley Mahari. Claire McGowan. Jackson Mendeloff. Mary Bridget Maloney. Lincoln Richardson. Evie Ray Stolinga.
Keegan Anderson. Claire Elizabeth Eimer. Ella Miner. Zoe Simran Nafwani. Olivia Simone Keelis. Kian Jack Quinn Calabresi. Siddharth Reddy. Malachi Elijah Sanders. Caitlin Sasamoto Kurisu. Jackson McRae Skelly. Reed Rollins Sermeyer. Katie Joy Williams.
Sophia Rivka Baker. Brandon James Chang. Rory Gilbert. Isadora Lathrop Glick. Cameron Grant. Ana Ramos Grieve. Caden Kwan Mubayed. Elizabeth Grace Euler. Taylor Grace Patterson. Andrew Stokes Pincus. Teresa Jo Turek. Ross Owen Lawrence Wilson. Nev La Session Windsor.
Thank you, first responders, for risking your lives to keep people safe and healthy. I am helping by continuing the social distancing and by wearing a mask.
Thank you all first responders for keeping us safe. I'm doing my part by wearing a mask.
Thank you, first responders, for protecting our city during these tough times.
Thank you to everyone on the front lines who are working to keep us all safe.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the essential workers and healthcare workers for putting yourself in danger for our needs and for saving lives. I'm doing my part by staying at home and wearing a mask, and I just want to say thank you, and you got this.
Thank you for your work in keeping us healthy. I'm doing my part by keeping my distance and staying educated and informed. Thank you.
On behalf of myself, my family, everybody, I just want to thank the first responders out there for doing such an amazing job at keeping my family and myself safe, and keep up the great work. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, essential workers, for putting your lives at risk for the better of the community and giving us hope during these hard times.
Thank you to all of the essential workers going to work right now and risking their health for us.
I really want to thank all the essential workers for being so brave and strong, and I wanted to tell you that you're doing an amazing job.
And it forms this ambulance that's going over Chicago. And thank you so much, first responders. I'm doing my part by wearing a mask and following social distancing rules.
I'd like to thank all of the essential workers for risking their lives to save the lives of so many others.
Thank you to all the essential workers who are helping us fight the virus. You keep us all healthy.
Thank you so much for helping us beat COVID-19. I'm doing my part by staying home as much as possible and wearing a mask when I need to go out.
Thank you, essential workers, for treating patients with coronavirus. We appreciate everything you do.
The blue symbolizes the night and the yellow symbolizes the day, and it's showing how everyone who's putting their lives on the line will get us through the night and into the day.
For my final project, I drew a character who is a healer even in the toughest of moments, which is like you all. Thank you for keeping us healthy and providing us what we need.
Thank you for treating patients with coronavirus. I'm doing my part by wearing a mask.
Thank you for treating people with the coronavirus. I'm doing my part by staying home.
This project is for all the healthcare workers who risk their lives every day just so that we can stay safe. Thank you for all that you do for the community.
Thank you to all the doctors and nurses that are helping people stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. I'm doing my part by distancing myself from others.
Thank you to all the first responders and the people on the front lines. I'm doing my part by staying home.
Thank you, healthcare workers. Thank you for all that you do. We really love you and appreciate what you do.
Thank you to everyone who protects us and keeps us safe.
To all the frontline and essential workers, thank you so much for helping people and making sure they stay healthy during this tough time, and thank you for staying strong and doing your essential job. I'm doing my part by staying home and being educated and informed.
Though this is a small demonstration of the gratitude I feel towards the many doctors, nurses, and other essential roles played in the medical field, I truly thank you for your service.
Thank you, all essential workers, for all that you are doing during this time to keep us safe. Thank you, healthcare workers, for taking care of the patients in the hospital and risking your lives every day to help others.